Okay, so I'm kind of excited about this one. So if you all know me, I have a four-phase backtesting system. I have a PDF that's pinned in the general chat um, to look at, but I have a four-phase backtesting system. Phase one is learning how to get your find your system, find your trading edge, find your rules, define those rules. Phase two is just a quick proving those rules work and knowing that they work. Phase three is practicing those rules, getting used to those rules, familiar with them. And then phase four is going to be all about risk management and making money with those rules. So it all kind of boils down to that. And so I always kind of focus on, the first one. I'm a real big believer that, and I take this belief from my own trading, that you have to have a solid set of rules. We all listen to the YouTube gurus, and they all tell you trade your rules, trade your rules, trade your rules. Make sure your rules are proven, and stay disciplined to your rules. Well, I traded for 2 years, hearing that and thinking I was trading my rules, but realizing every time I had a pretty major setback, I'm changing my rules. So I really didn't have a set of rules. I didn't have a set of rules that were proven. That time I traded support and resistance levels, and I had a couple of moving averages that I guided my tradings off of. And it changed. It changed. I added candlestick patterns. I added, other indicators, just anything I could find. Like I'd have a bad losing streak, and I'd be like, okay, I got to change something. I got to change something. I got to figure out what's going wrong. It's my emotions. It's all this. It's all that. Over and over, and went through this cycle probably 3 or 4 times in 2 years, and I've had TradeZella for a year, and I got it back in 2024, March of 2024, and it took me till December of 2024 to actually start backtesting. I realized I didn't have a set of rules. I realized I was jumping around. I was hopping around, and that was a struggle. So I dove in. I figured out. I just took to this TradeZella. I took to this backtesting full hearted and started to develop my rules. Then I got a good set of rules. During this, I joined Tori's Discord. I added her trend lines. I really wanted trend lines as a part of my support resistance. Her trend line system just transformed my rules, gave me a clear guideline and a clear set of rules to apply, and to prove that. And my success is getting better and better, because I'm trading the same thing now. I know what to trade. I'm still backtesting. I'm still backtesting hardcore. I will never stop. I always think of like a pro athlete. They never stop practicing. They never stop looking at the charts and studying the plays and going and back practicing and practicing and practicing. And they're pros. They're at the top of their game, and they do this. I I plan on doing this even when I'm at the top of my game. So today I want to cover price action. It was probably one of the biggest things that I really got out of Tori's trendline system. It it wasn't it wasn't about an indicator or fair value gap, and I'm not putting these things down. These systems work, but it was simple. I mean, we're all here because this is simple. A trend line shows you the trend. The trend line gets broken. Is the trend breaking, changing? And I say that, is it breaking? Because not every trend line break is a clear break of a trend. So what it's defining is that micro um, price action. You're starting to see that micro price action, and you see it moving, and every instrument uses price action. Every instrument has the same price action and a little different price action. The more you stick with one instrument, the more you trade that single instrument or two instruments, the more familiar you get to seeing how that instrument's price action works for you. So every instrument has its price action. Every time frame has its price action. I trade the 4-hour time frame. Some people trade the 5-minute time frame, 1-hour time frame, 30-minute time frame, 15-minute time frame. They all are the same, but a little bit different. And so it's really crucial that you don't, what works for me in a 4-hour may not work for you in a 15-minute. And then again, maybe it will. You don't know until you've back tested and proven that it works. Learning how to spot some of this, learning how to define, okay, is this a quality break? Is this going to break out strong? Is this going to be is this price action really doing something? Comes from back testing and tagging. If you have TradeZella, if you don't have TradeZella, this can be done on a spreadsheet, and you just write down things that you're seeing that are happening, see how many times they happen over time. So you really want to just track it. That's the biggest key, is tracking these things. Too many times in my past, I would see something happen and I would get a really nice move, and I'd say, oh, that happens. That's I'm going to add that to my rules. And next time I see that, I'm going to do that again. And the next 3 times it never does it. So because I didn't back test it and I didn't prove it. So if you got an idea, you got a theory, you got, hey, do you get out on candle close? Do you get out here? Do you get in here? Those are things that you need to back test, track it, tag it, and prove it works. Then you know. You don't take somebody else's opinion, somebody who, oh, they look like they're really successful, so let me take a piece of their advice and apply it to mine. Doesn't always work. We're all different thinkers. We all see things differently. So I'm going to go through this a little bit of some items in price action to talk about, and I'm going to stress no technical label. I'm going to use some of my terminology, some of the tech terminology you can use. It doesn't matter. You don't have to know what a doji is, what a hammerhead candle is, what a hanging man. I couldn't even tell you, honestly. I studied them. I knew them at one time. I call them all Twizzlers. So you use your own language. So I'm going to be using words. I'm going to be calling them Twizzlers. You can call them whatever you want. If you know it, that's great. If you don't know it, make up a name. Call it Henry, Fred. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The ideal is that you start seeing patterns. So let's get going. Price action. What is price action? Price action combines a few different things, and we use all of these things in our trendline system. One is candle action. Candle action is every candle here tells a story. These wicks, these bodies, where they're lying, where they're sitting, when they happen, all of that is telling a story about price action. And so getting familiar with the story that is being told is going to really, really help you start seeing some breakouts that are like, you're going to say, hey, ooh, look, this is happening here. This is one of them Twizzlers, and we got price breaking up past it, a good strong candle breaking past it. This may be a good bounce. What other criteria would be needed? What other setup would be needed to make this a bounce play? You know, what if that happens right before it breaks out, and you get here where you got a couple little indecision candles, a couple more Twizzlers, and price takes off, you know, right before this trend line? Is that a good sign? Is that a sign, that a signal that's good? You don't know until you tag it. So when you're taking your trades and you're trying to find those rules, tag these things. Trend in market is another item of price action. I'm in the 4 hour, so I like to jump to the daily, pull it up. I want to see the macro. Here's the macro trend on this. Happens to be MES in January of 2024. Going back clear to March, clear to 2022, we had a little down. We kind of been up. I'm going to look at this and say, for the most part, the macro is kind of sideways. Sideways trend is what I use. People say consolidation, ranging, all those terms come into play. I like sideways trend. I have uptrend, downtrend, sideways trend. That's all that matters to me. So that's the math. So as I was sharing, here's the daily chart at MES, and I'm looking at it, and it's pretty much to me it's sideways trend. This is the macro view. If I go back to my 4 hour, this is a time frame that I trade. I look at it. We had an uptrend, but now we're just sideways. I see this in my view. I will call this gel. It's just in gel. It's just going to hit. Of course, this is an all-time high, so it's just going to sit here and bounce back and forth. I like to try and find the bottom of gel and the top. This is not necessarily the top. I'll mark it up with a dashed line, kind of like gel bars. Again, terminology doesn't matter. What fits your brain? So to me, it's gel. This should actually be the all-time high that's been getting attacked. And I know that, so I can pay attention to that. So yeah, we're in gel. The other thing that involves price action is support and resistance. Support and resistance has a lot to do with price action. Having your support and resistance levels, which is basically what my gel level is critical. To me, it's telling you that price is going to come here. It's going to either slow down, it's going to bounce backwards, upwards. It's going to act as something that affects price action. Yes, TradeZilla does have a backtesting system. That's what I'm using right here. And you're going to create your playbook off of Tori's system. You know, you can always start with a 2 and a 3 touch point break and then go from there and expand on it. So there's the rough outline of price action. Let's break this down a little bit better, okay? Let's go to candles as a price action. I'm going to show you a couple little insights I have, but all I want you to do, I don't want you to like take everything I say as truth. I want you to experiment, to backtest, to take a look at these things and see how they're acting. Find out what the candle is telling you. Find out what the story is it's telling you. So every candle's telling you a story. You want to watch to see what they're trying to tell you, and you want to tag different patterns. I call all these candles like this one here, I call them a Twizzler. I know they have names, and I really don't care what the names are. That's a Twizzler. That's a Twizzler. All these little guys right here, they're basically indecision candles, and they all have a little story to tell, and they all mean something. There's something happening with price when you see them. Like this guy here, price came all the way down and pushed all the way back up. So what that's telling me is the sellers really wanted to drop this price, but the buyers pushed it back up, and they pushed hard. That might be a white candle, which it would be red in normal circumstances, but that's a green candle essentially, because that candle got pushed all the way back up by buyers. Then there was a bunch of indecision or battle going on here. I also refer to this little move here as a walk the line, where you just get these indecision candles side by side, and then you get a push, but the push didn't work. You're still getting that walk the line pattern, and then it finally broke downwards. So these are candlestick patterns that I really suggest paying attention to. So going back to candle action, you want to start seeing what the story is telling you. Looking at this is a big, huge sell candle. Obviously, a lot of people selling. It's moving hard. Where did it come from? Was it coming from a support resistance level? Was it coming from a trend line? Is it just out in the middle of nowhere? All these things matter. And so all these things are telling you a story about what's happening with price. If you got a big candle like this and you just start seeing things working up, what's that tell you? Because it didn't really tell me there's an uptrend yet. And then it just came right back down. So these things help because, I mean, this could have been a news event. This could have been just a temporary push down, and there was rejection to that sell-off until later. So start paying attention to your candles. Your candles are telling you a story. Any candle with double wick or long low bodies and wicks, or they're just stories being told. I see this little green candle with the wick that's up on top. That little green candle could have been white. There's more selling action going on in that than buying. And then we want to look at the trend. We kind of already went through that. Jump up. If you're in the 15-minute, jump to the hourly. Jump to the 4-hour. If you're in the 30 or the 1 hour, jump up, blow it up, see where the trend is. What's really happening with the overall trend? You could almost kind of say it's uptrend, but to me, it just seems condensed. It's condensed in a huge price range, but it's sideways, meaning that to me that means we could have an upward move, but it could turn around on us again. We could have another, like here, we had another upward move, but it didn't go anywhere. So know what the macro trend's doing, know what the micro trend's doing. The micro trend's the trend on your time frame. Pay attention to that. What's happening? What's going on? Are we consolidating? Are we in jail? If we're in jail, be cautious. Taking a trade is going to knock you out. By the time you get across the trend line and get into a trade, there's not much room left before it's going to turn around again. Don't play with it and don't force it. With trends, I kind of want to throw a little key in there, and this is our point B's. Because we're talking trend lines, we want to know that our point B's are signifying a little trend, a micro trend reversal. We don't want, like, got a good one right here. This candle wick right here, that's not a point B. There's no clear bounce, So if you go and run a trend line here, you think, oh, no, look, I got a point B. That's not a point B. That's just a wick of a candle. This thing is just going straight up. There's no point B. Now, if you want to put that in there as a safety line for your your price action for safety line. I'm not thinking of the word, for gauging where you're going to get out to help preserve, money on your run, then do that. but that's not a point B. If I had this trend line and it broke it, I wouldn't count that as a point B. It would just be invalid. So pay attention to your trends, your micro trends within your time frame, and then these smaller, like your touch points need to be bounces. How do you know which line is the line to listen to? Some of the steeper lines seem like they have multiple points. That's what I'm telling you right here. I'm not going to tell you which ones to look at. You need to back test, track them, and learn which ones are doing it, because every instrument's going to be different. Every instrument's going to be telling you something different. I got some good examples I'm going to go through here in a second. Real quick, support and resistance. Support and resistance. Key, all-time high. Look at that. Bang. Just keeps banging its head up against that all-time high. So if I was to get into a trade, if I were at this all-time high and drew a trend line down here off of this what I call kind of a weak point B, that it did have a definite, up, down, and I got in here, I can't expect my price to go any higher than this. So from here to here, is is that worth me trying to get a run to here? Could it go past that? Yes. Do I want to count on that? No. Because that's an all-time high. If it's a support and resistance level, I mean, that's just as key. You want to know how it's behaving to it. We have a bump here. We came over here and even had a gap on the contract change, but it stopped before that line and opened up after. Here you've got, price. If you were to take a trade in here, it come up, boom, comes back down. Came up here, it stopped there, it went through, but it came back down. So knowing your support and resistance is very, very key. If you can get one with two, I like to go with two or three resistance and a few supports down on the same. And when I've got price coming in and I'm looking at a trade that's coming into this line right here, this support resistance line, I'm going to look at it and say, you know what? I have a whole bunch where this is resistance. Price is not wanting to is working really hard to break through it. It doesn't work as hard to come down through it. So if I have a trade that's going up to this line, I know that I need to be cautious of it. Now, if that was turned around and it broke through it, but it had a lot of support, and I was looking at a price long going through it, I might be more apt to say, you know what? It's not going to act that strong as a resistance level. So pay attention to your support resistance levels. They're telling you a story about price. They're telling you that when this price is going up, it wants to stop at 4207 and get rejected. But if price is going down, I can look right here, right now, and see that it breaks it. It still supports. It's still support, but it doesn't mind going back through it as much as it doesn't want to go up to it. Those are stories. That's the story you're wanting to hear. We're trying to find that price action story. What's that price action story? What's this instrument telling us when we're watching it? Because what happens is we get too close, and this is what we're doing. When we're trading, this is what we're doing right here. We're looking at this picture. They always say look left, trade right. If you're looking here only, you're gonna miss what's happening back here. You're gonna miss the all-time high. You're gonna miss the gel, and you're probably gonna get faked out, and you're gonna go, why am I getting faked out? So shrink it up, take a bigger look, see what's happening, know what these support levels are doing, see what's happening. Like this one right here, right now, it's simply a support. It's been hit twice. It's not in the right spot. It's been hit twice, pretty much, here in the beginning, here, right here, once, solid. There's probably more of a smaller, a tighter one right there. It's been hit 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So this one has more strength. So if I got in a short right here, I got to guarantee that that's just not going to go past this. So is it worth it to me? Let's look at a couple of charts. I pulled up some charts. We'll look at some. These are trades that I've taken in my back testing. These are all winners. Oh, I wanted to cover one thing. Let's go back real quick. We can do it here. Support resistance. Think of support and resistance as two things. Now, I'm a Star Wars fan, so do know that I'm going to think of force fields. Support and resistance is a force field. It's trying to stop price from moving through it. It's a force field. Sometimes price is strong enough, it can break that force field. But it is also a magnet. You can see right here where it broke through. It actually got rejected here. Started again, broke through really strong. Now I could say, oh, well that now that's just going to go all the way to all-time high. And then it petered out and the magnet pulled it right back on the other side. So it acts as a magnet and it acts as a force field. Just think of that when you're looking at your support resistance lines. And if you're a sci-fi person, you kind of understand it better. That was more fun than anything. So moving on. Here's some trades I took in my back testing. We hit the all-time high. We hit it, and I saw that this has a name. It's called an engulfing candle. So we came up here. It tried, it failed. It came back up, hit again, and then this candle just wiped out everything. At this point, if I had a bounce rule for something like this, I could probably take it, but I don't. So I'm waiting for it. My trend line is down here. This is the point B that I caught. There was one running up here. I didn't like it because it was in jail. We had a little sideways movement here, and I wanted to make sure I got past this line. So it came down. It came back up. It gave me a different point B. I chose that line versus trying to take it on this bigger candle. It went up, hit here really nice, and just completely rejected it. It came down. I entered here on this candle. Took this all the way. It kind of changed. So this is where I'm thinking magnet. Okay, it kind of changed past. Now is this going to be a magnet and come back to that force field? It came back. It went down. It had a good profit. I took the profit. I was happy with that. I didn't click to find out what happened after that, but I think it took off the other way. I felt that the force field was going to pull this right back. The other reason I did that is we were trailing this safety line super tight. That's 1, 2, 3 touch points on that super tight safety line. More than likely, that's almost like an action line. That's going to want to break again. So I was done with it. I was well into profit. I took the trade. Closed it. Candle action. We had candle activity up here, came down, went sideways, came down, came up, got a good quick rejection. That was, to me, that was perfect. It was a 2 touch point. It was breaking a support resistance level with power. All those things are telling me this was good to get into. So it's not just one thing, it's a combination of things. This was telling me I have a setup coming. I have a setup coming. I really like this setup. This is a strong candle. I have an entry. So I made my entry. Now I have to manage this trade. And I know that we just broke a support resistance level. And I'm actually fighting the macro trend. So I was fighting the macro trend. And so I got to be careful. This is going to want to come back up to that support resistance level. Let's go to another one. Here's another one off of all-time high. I got a trend line. I've got kind of a weak 2 touch point trend here. But what I liked about this was this action right down here. This told me that it was reversing this Twizzler here. And we got it got confirmed for me. I like that, but I want to see one more little jog, and it broke past this. So I got into it. There's a super strong candle. It broke out of jail. I got into it. Now I'm watching very closely because now I got to break an all-time high. It broke the all-time high, kind of sat on it. You can see how the magnet's working. Came up, the magnet tried to pull it back down. I think I got in this one. Yep, and then it just took off and started working its way back down. After a gap up, I know it's going to work its way down completely. So I took my profits. I was well into profits on that one. Here's another one. This one was kind of a tight trend line. It really only had 2 touch points. These were all like kind of right there, but not very convincing. This was a nice point B. I liked it. We came down here. This is what made me get into this trade. We got this huge rejection off of this trend line. Huge rejection off of that candle, and then came here indecision. It did not know which way it wanted to go. It finally broke. It broke this support resistance level, and I waited for a full candle confirmation to break it. It broke it. I entered here. It took off, wrote it up. We broke the all-time high. I actually got in with 2 contracts. I sold 1 contract here. It broke the all-time high, and typically when it breaks all-time high, that magnet of the all-time high is so strong. As soon as it started breaking down, I started seeing it break down. I put my stop loss here. It tagged it, knocked me out. Good profit. This whole setup was something I like seeing. When you got it running tight to the trend line, and you get a good break, you get a good signal. So it's not just that it broke the trend line, because it's only a 2 touch point trend line. It's not that it had a support resistance level and broke the trend line. That's good double confirmation. It's the other price action that I was watching. This tight move here, this push here and rejection, but then it came back and completely rejected this. I call this the walk the line. It walked the line and then pushed up and broke. That's all telling me price action. That's telling me something I like to see before I get into a trade. One more. All right, this guy here came up. We went into consolidation. We were in jail. Had an upper and lower. I'm completely in jail. I got this humongous rejection off of this lower trend line. This is now makes that a 3 touch point trend line. Huge rejection. I had 2 point, kind of a third. I don't really count that. It's like, let's say 2.5 touch points. I'm real picky about my touch points. Walked the line like it was going to reject and go down. Instead, it turned completely around. It broke. It broke the support resistance level. I entered, and it gapped up and just continued playing. It gapped up. I sold one contract here, and then I just carried that, followed that all the way through. We got up here. It started to, we got this big wick down. It just started looking like it was petering out. We got indecision, indecision. The candles got smaller. And like I said, when you have a gap and a support resistance, it's that magnet's going to want to start pulling it back down. It wasn't going to go up here. Didn't it didn't have the strength to push up all the way, even all the way up to this other support resistance level. So for me, it was done. It's time to get out. I got good profits. Let's not fight it. So that's just some things that I wanted to share, kind of give you some ideas. And now the key is, how do those things fit into your head? How do those things work in your brain? To really get to understand it, and I did this, to really get to understand it, you need to tag it. I tagged things like for my Twizzlers. I didn't just say, oh, I had a Twizzler, because you can see I got Twizzlers all over this place. They don't always mean anything. What happened is I had a downward trend. I had a big candle. I had a Twizzler that is below the bottom of the body of that previous candle, and it got basically a rejection. And that's how I see that. Then I got a confirmation, like this next candle, for me, it's got to be within the next 2 or 3 candles, just has to be strong enough to just start powering through. And that tells me that the trend is changing. And now I just needed to prove it. How do you know which line is the line to listen to? I already answered that one. I don't. This is my first backtesting session with you, but what time frame do you trade? I trade the 4 hour. I first started backtesting in the 1 hour. I really wanted the 1 hour to be my time frame. Work doesn't allow me that. So yeah, it's 4 hour. Thank you, Pine. So let's do some trades. I'll do some trades here, and we'll see if we can get one. I'll show you how to tag it and how to log it, what I'm doing here. We started this one last week. This is MES. We managed to get one trade in. We're down $96. Let's see if we can get a trade in and go through it. I'm going to trade this as if I'm back testing, as if I'm trading. And then we'll journal it. So things I do, I go 10 minutes. My speed is 10-minute jumps because I'm in the 4 hour. I do that at 2 times. I will trade from 6 a.m., which is half an hour before New York opens for me. So my trading time frame is 6 a.m. to no later than 1800 hours, so 6 o'clock. So at 6 o'clock at the latest, I will come here and I will jump myself to the next day. I will not take trades in the evening because I will not trade in the evening, and I want everything I'm back testing to be exactly like I would in my real trading. I don't want any false results. Is there a space for those that have never even heard of back testing? Right here. This is it. Yes, this is it. And if you want to, just TradeZella has the best system to start with. You can do it in TradingView. I'm not familiar how to do that because I don't have TradingView as my trading platform. I have a PDF pinned in the general chat that has my 4-phase backtesting system, and you're free to ask me questions anytime in the Discord. So Backtesting in TradeZilla. If I go here, you want this little swoosh. That's your backtesting button. And if you go to this university on TradeZilla, they will also have some videos on backtesting as well. So you can kind of start there. They'll give you a pretty good breakdown of how to start one. But yeah, this is the button that gets you into backtesting. All right, on to that trade. Let's see, where are we at? So I already looked at the macro trend. We're kind of in a sideways trend. We're starting to push all-time high. We're definitely in a sideways trend. So I have this trend line here. I'm pretty much done with it. It's already tagged the all-time high. If this breaks up to all-time high, I don't have anything. I kind of want to see this kind of come down. I would love to see a break of it, but we'll see what happens. This could be nothing for a while. Watching backtesting really helps with candle anxiety too, because when you're seeing that, you know, I would lie if I didn't see that huge green breakout and think, oh my gosh, I need to get in. That's breaking up. There's some candle anxiety. People say that there's no emotion in backtesting. There isn't if you're playing it like a video game, but if you're seriously trying to build something and trying to get your system set up, you get emotions. You do. So I can't take that. That doesn't fit any book I have. So we'll just keep going, see how it takes off. It could take off to the moon. Honestly, it should have been a bounce play down here. I should have gotten in on a bounce play down here somewhere, but didn't. All right, we're moving up. I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the next day. We're starting to weaken out here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next day. All right, we got to me I got a new all-time high. So I want to take this one. I always color my all-time high so I know what it's all-time high without me thinking about it. And I want to take this gel line. I want to move that guy right up here. I see a lot of resistance here. And so I want that gel line up there. I know it's really kind of here. And so now we're hoping to get something down so I can get a downward trend line for another break. More than likely it's going to go sideways for a while. We'll go through this candle. I'm not seeing anything. I'm just going to kind of walk the line here. And that thing broke up again. This is where all-time high, when you're trading like MES, MYM, all those, it can be kind of frustrating because you're just always hitting all-time highs. I have a playbook for an all-time high, but I can't teach it here because it's not Tori's trading system. So just bear with me and we'll keep going. I'm gonna jump next day. All right, now we got another peak. That can always, the reason I do that is I can move that up, and if I get a good point B, now I can start a downward trend line. But to me, that's also got to be a good point A. You know, eventually it's going to come back to this trend line here, because that's a good trend line. All right, we're jumping a day. It's going to break again, isn't it? Let's jump a day. Let's watch that candle. I like getting that in my head. I love watching the candles because then when I see them in live charts, I'm already ready for them. I'm not worried about them. I can be in a run going up, and I'm not worried about candles, whites and greens or whatever going against me. I get stronger and stronger by watching these candles. Question. In your guide during phase one, how many instruments do you think need to be tested in phase one? Only one instrument. You want to find one that's fitting you comfortably, fits your time frames, your what you want to do. I did MES because MES trades mostly in New York open time frame, which is fits me best. And when I'm asleep and I'm in a swing trade, I know it's not going to move as much at night. So that was a big decision for me. And so I chose MES, and MES is the one I did all my back testing to find my rules in. Then I took and then I proved those rules worked. And then in phase three is where I added more instruments. So I would do phase three, I would do MES, I would do MYM, I did oil. Oil did not work. Oil was a failure for me. Did not work with my win rate, with my proven rules. And yes, you don't necessarily focus on the win rate 100%, and I'll show you that here in the end. You do want 50 to 60% is awesome. If you can get that, that's a great win rate, but you also got to look at your average wins and losses. Make sure your average wins and losses are good. If they're decent, 1 to 2, you got a 1.2, 1.5, something like that on that. That's good. You can fine tune that. Can we take a break and retest there if happened? How to set up the button on the direct to New York section. Let me get to that. So we're at New York. So if you click on this button, you customize settings. If you're wanting New York, New York opens at 9:30 New York time. So this is going to be New York's Eastern time. I'm on the charts a half an hour before New York opens. So I set it for 9 o'clock. If you're trading the London session, you can do the London session, play with those times and make sure they work with you. If you start earlier than London, Asian session, and you can do that. You just click that one on, click all the rest off, and you can just jump to that session. So that's how you set that guy up. This, you also got to go here and set up your UTC. This is your time. This is the time that you're in currently. That should match with this time up here. And then pull this up and find your setting and make sure it's working. Play around with that, make sure it's working. All right. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to get a trade here. We'll go a couple more days. If we don't get a trade, then we'll save it and jump on it for next week. I like to save a little bit of time for some questions. So, yeah, we're just going to keep breaking up. Yeah, you see that all-time high was right here, and then you just see this move. And it looks really good, but honestly, this is a lot of time waiting. Those were days of sideways movements. So it wasn't that great. It looks like it could have been great. All right, jump. Let's go to the next day. We got another point. Got another good point B. Is it going to hold? Point B. Point A. All right. I'm going to jump to next day and I'm going to pause it there. Oh, it looks like we're probably going to finally get a downward trend line. Maybe next week. We'll do that next week. Okay, let's stop it right there.